right, greetings. Welcome back. Bettor's Last Stand. Show number 88 coming to you from the Pine Room Studios after a 2-week, much-needed break here for me. Sam will join us later in the show to talk all things sports. We'll catch up on things that happened over the last couple of weeks, as well as what is to come. The sporting calendar is still very strong right now. I know a lot of people are getting sick of baseball already, but you got full slates of baseball. You got NHL and NBA playoffs winding down now. You still got some great other things going on. Golf majors heating up. We got another really good golf tournament in a lead up to the U.S. Open coming up here in a couple of weeks. Pretty exciting stuff there. You got the French Open tennis, which is in full swing right now. We've got some bets we're going to talk about on that front. Some futures that we're sweating out, and we've had a pretty good performance so far there. So it's good to be back with you here in the Pine Room Studio. If you haven't checked out all the recent things going on in the Pine Room at the Pine Room Studios, you want to check that out on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to all the things that are going on here in the Pine Room, whether it's the regular podcast, Bettor's Last Day in the show right here that you are listening to or watching right now, soup and stuff. And then we're launching a new show, which is going to feature Sammy and Gia. So we're pretty excited about that. The Pine Cellar Girls going to be, I think that it might not be the exact title. It's only the first week. I don't think the first one's coming out this week. So check that out. Pretty cool stuff there. Those girls are very excited about their new endeavor under the Pine Room Studios umbrella. So we're happy to have them on board. And it should give us some additional interesting content for you to check out, whether you're exercising, cutting your grass, driving, whatever it is you do. Do it with the Pine Room Studios. You can also check out the radio show every single Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, although I say that every single. We had no shows the last Friday or Monday because Jubb and Jarrett and myself were out of town. And then the show yesterday we did not have. So, but I'm back now. I drove back yesterday. We'll be here for this week and then back out of here for 2 weeks. So this will be the last Bettor's Last Stand for a couple of weeks. Had to give you a little bit of a comeback show. We didn't want to do 5 weeks all at one time. That would have been a lot to wrap up. So anyway, bear with us again. You can find the picks and releases on BLS_PRP on Twitter or X, although I will say I neglected to put up a whole lot because I did not bet anything really last week. I had family and friends in town in Ocean City and did not do a whole lot of watching sports or betting sports, which is quite refreshing, to be honest with you. So if you're looking for picks there, you were just riding out some of the futures that we had going on in tennis and some of the other things right now. So, but we're back at it now. Over the last 2.5 weeks, we were up nearly 15 units, plus 14.95 since the last show. Real Madrid cashes for us in the UEFA Champions League Final at 8-1. Spanish side to win it. We gave that one out as well. We thought maybe Atletico had a shot. We thought maybe Barcelona had a shot. And honestly, Barcelona kind of got screwed in the whole thing with the double red card operation that they had there in a game that they probably would have won otherwise. But Real Madrid, much the best. Vinicius Jr., probably the best player in the world right now, and I'm not saying he's got the talent of a Messi or anything. He doesn't, but he's just impossible to stop. He's just so damn fast and so incredibly attack-oriented, and we'll talk about that along with the UEFA Euro 2024, which is coming up with Vinicius. Won't be able to play in because he's from Brazil, but we've got a great tournament coming up here next week, so soccer action right back on the docket. I'm excited about that. Going to enjoy that while I'm on my second part of my vacation. All right. So, again, we were up almost 15 units for the last couple of weeks. 7 of 9 of our players made the cut in the PGA Championship. That was a few weeks ago. Bryson DeChambeau right there. Oh, Xander Schauffele, who I really, really like Xander Schauffele. I'm glad he got the job done. And but it was at my expense that time. We had DeChambeau at a very, very nice price, almost 30-1. Some of you may have found even better than that. So, but the top 5, top 3 cashes with him. If you had that way, Scotty Scheffler, obviously the incident with him kind of put a damper in his whole operation. But Xander Schauffele gets the job done. Happy for him, but it was at our expense, and he never faltered. So strong finish. But 7 of our 9 players made the cut. Shane Lowry was in 6th position. DeChambeau finished 2nd. So a good showing for us in golf. 7 and 9 at a major. A lot of guys in contention. So we're pretty happy with that. A couple other updates. Sam been pretty hot in F1 lately. Had the Ferrari last week. Had Carlos Sainz last week. He's 5-3 in his last 2 weeks in F1, and we'll talk about that later in the show with him in the third segment. Coco Gauff wins quarter number 2 yesterday at the French Open. Comes back and beats Ons Jabeur after losing the first set. Was driving home listening to that one. So a good one for Coco Golf there. If you're on that one, that's our first cash winner for tennis. We'll highlight those here momentarily, or actually in the second segment of the show, we'll go through what we still have alive. We got Sausage Zverev right now playing Alex de Minaur right in a really, really contested match right here. As we bear with me here. So Zverev leading or trailing 6-5 in the second set after winning the first one 6-4. And right now they are at deuce number 2. Now advantage Zverev now to try and tie this up at 6. I got an over bet on the individual match here, but we got Zverev winning this tournament. We got him winning this quarter, so we could definitely use this one. I think we even have him winning the half. So good stuff so far in tennis. Pretty happy with how things have turned out to this point. NHL and NBA Finals, want to hit on those. Those begin here tomorrow night, or last night if you're listening to the show on Friday. You have the NBA getting kicked off first, or tipping off first, and currently you have the Dallas Mavericks a 6.5-point road dog to the Boston Celtics. 214.5 is the total on that one. This really concerns me because when I went into this, and I don't watch a lot of NBA, everybody knows that here, but I do follow it. I don't have a choice. It's part of my job. So paying attention to this a little bit more when I was on vacation, just checking in on things, certain trends and things that I really on a regular basis don't have time to do unless it's work related. But it came to be pretty evident that once these teams book their trips to the finals, that Dallas has the 2 best players in the whole series. I'm not a Jason Tatum lover. I think he's really good, but he's like a cut below these other guys, these closer types. He's proven it time after time he doesn't have what it takes to hit big shots. Jaylen Brown can't dribble. He's just I don't know. He's a great athlete. He can shoot a little bit. I don't know. He's like a Tasmanian devil out there on the floor. And again, a good player, but neither one of those guys to me is a number one. And I'm looking, Dallas has the 2 best players in this series by far, with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's an assassin in closeout games. Still only lost once. I think he's like 17-1 or something in closeout games in his career. For as weird as he is, he's really good. Anyway, whatever Dallas has working, I'm thinking, man, Celtics are going to be a pretty good favorite here. I'm really liking Dallas. I hope the public is on the Celtics. Well, it turns out that the public has been backing Dallas. The pros are on Boston, so that worries me quite a bit. So I would recommend a small play on Dallas in this, maybe plus 1.5. Maybe the thing goes 7. But to me, Dallas has the 2 best guards in the series, the 2 best players in the series, and the best coach, which is a better coach than Joe Mazzulla, who's just not experienced enough. And we saw what Boston has done in the past here. They've made the finals and the conference finals several times and can't get the job done. So I lean in Dallas, but those numbers really worry me there. I know the MVP voting is something that people are trying to maybe hit on, something to get a little bit better value. Derek White comes to mind as maybe a play there. But Doncic or Kyrie probably is the MVP if Dallas wins it. Probably Luka. And I thought Luka to average a triple-double in the series is probably a pretty good bet too. But that's really all I got in the NBA. So I personally like Dallas, but I'm not going to bet much on it because it's too much public action. And when Joe Blow from the public comes up and tells me he loves Dallas, that makes me rethink how intelligent that or lack of intelligence that I may possess. Moving on to hockey. Pretty good series here set up. Dallas Stars, I never was enamored with the Dallas Stars the entire season. I never thought they were very good. I thought they were very boring. I thought they were just regular. Like I know they had some depth, but I think old guys like Joe Pavelski and stuff. Like Joe Pavelski's just a serial loser. He's like a Patrick Marleau or Joe Thornton. Like these guys were together on teams and they could never win. So why are they going to put a team over the top? I never understood getting a veteran who's never won to help your dressing room win. That doesn't seem it seems very counterintuitive. But we'll stick to the facts at hand here. It will be the Edmonton Oilers and Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl and company taking on the Florida Panthers, who, if you listen to the show long enough, you realize we were on the Florida Panthers a lot, but I did get scared off of them a tad. I will say they went through about a month stretch in the, not the very end of the season, but kind of, with about a month out, and they were not playing very good hockey. It appears they were just kind of getting bored. And now that they've refocused and dug in, they're getting great goaltending, got a great coach in Paul Maurice. I just think Florida will be too much here. I think a game and a half, laying the game and a half, probably the way to go here. So hopefully you bet Florida way back when we gave it out. I just got scared off of it several times. Had them at a couple prices way early in the season. But they definitely made me afraid. But they get the job done against the Rangers. Florida just much the best in that series. They should have swept them, really. Rangers really shouldn't have had any opportunities to win any games in that series. It was just kind of a lucky thing. And then Dallas, holds Edmonton to 10 shots and can't win a game. So that's never a good thing. But that's hockey. That's NHL hockey is why it's so fun to watch in the playoffs. So anyway, Dallas out, Edmonton into the finals. The hopes of Canada ride on the Oilers as they take on the Panthers. I'll be on the Panthers in the series. I'll be doing some various things throughout, but should be a good series. And you got to tip your cap to Edmonton for getting the job done. It all starts with Paul Coffey, former Penguin, former Edmonton Oiler, great. The Hall of Famer, the best offensive defenseman ever. I don't care what they say about Dennis Potvin or anybody else, Bobby Orr. Paul Coffey's the best one. He could skate the best, and he was just absolutely tremendous on the blue line. Kind of gave offensive defensemen a revamping that you're seeing today. Cale Makar, Chris Letang, those kinds of guys that can skate, can do a little bit of everything. So Paul Coffey gets all the credit for this turnaround. The defensive core for Edmonton has performed admirably, and that may lead to a pretty decent series here. But I think probably most likely outcome is going to be Florida in 6 games if I had to put an exact number on it. So NHL playoffs winding down, NBA playoffs winding down, and we get that NHL game kicks off tomorrow. If you're listening on Friday, it's a Saturday tip or puck drop, so start the series off there. So should be good. Longest distance between two teams ever in finals history, so that's pretty intriguing. So we'll see how the teams hold up after travel and that sort of stuff. All right, what else do we have on tap this week? We got the Memorial, big golf tournament here, Muirfield Village, Jack Nicklaus. This is his tournament. Always a popular one here in Dublin, Ohio, as we get ready for the U.S. Open here in a couple of weeks. Scotty Scheffler is the favorite. No question about it, plus 345. I can't talk anybody off of the guy right now. The guy's he's just dialed into a level. I'm curious to see, though, how, and I know he had the arrest situation, which was totally ridiculous, and poor guy felt bad for him. And it actually made me like him more. I never disliked him. I just didn't really like him. But I got a lot of credit for the guy, or got a lot of respect for the guy, because he handled that really, really well. A lot better than a guy like me would handle it. Police officers acted ridiculous in that situation. So anyway, Scheffler onto this tournament. I'm curious to see how he'll do with the spotlight around that stuff, around the new baby. So yeah, he's got a lot on his plate right now. And a lot of times these guys, and I've made the comment jokingly, people think I'm joking, but if you go back and do the research, you can see it. When a guy gets married or a guy has his first kid, there's usually a major dip in his game. I mean, a major dip. Go start looking at it. Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler. I mean, these guys all come to mind. Koepka. Just keep looking. It's either the getting together with the woman or having the kid, or both. And John Rahm took a dip in his game when he got married. I think he's got a second kid now. So you may play off the high initially, but then in that grind, having to no sleep and dealing with the cranky wife, and you're not getting out to the courses. I'm telling you, it sure seems like that to me. I know people would say otherwise, and they would never say that their wife or kid worked against them, but I know what I see. So anyway, Scheffler is the guy to beat here this week once more. A couple guys I thought were pretty interesting. Victor Hovland seems like he changed some things in his game, but he seems to be dialed back in right now. He's around 16-1. I loved his performance at the PGA. I thought he played really well. He cleans it up a little bit, gets a little more comfortable each week. I think he is going to be a force to reckon with in the majors coming up, as well as this event. Colin Morikawa got his game going a little bit. Putting still not there, but if he starts rolling in putts, he's going to be in contention. Not saying he can win this 13-1, a little short with Scheffler in the field. But both of those guys for top 5s or top 10s, I highly recommend. Hideki Matsuyama, my third top choice, 38-1 for him. He's a guy that can actually play with Scheffler and go low enough to be able to beat him. I'm not saying he will, but he can, whereas the other guys would really, really have to putt the ball really well. Hideki Matsuyama can do it all. We've seen what he can do closing out a round to win back a couple months ago. He's definitely a dangerous contender here. Corey Connors, I think, has been playing pretty solid. I like him for a top 10 or top 20, but he's 46-1 to win it. If you're interested, Shane Lowry as well has played pretty well here in the past. 61-1 or 65-1 I saw at some places. So maybe Lowry worth a nice shot there at a really big, probably a little bit too big of a price there. So give a shot with Lowry for a top 10 and a top 20 and throw a little bit in on him to win. And then Jordan Spieth played well here before. He has it. The game is not where it needs to be, but he's working back to it. So I will give him credit. He's been a lot better over the recent months because he kind of lost it completely. So take a shot with him, 47-1, but focus on the top 10s and 20s. Whenever Scheffler's in this field, it's hard for me to recommend guys in the mid-range unless they're giant prices because it's going to be hard to beat Scheffler. I mean, he's right now, there's just not another hot playing competitor out there. You got Rory McIlroy 8.5 to 1. I wouldn't waste any money on him. He's great when the pressure's off, but man, he's a bum when there's pressure. So don't expect to see Rory contend here at Memorial. So it should be a good one there up at Muirfield. We look forward to that one and the U.S. Open here in a couple of weeks. Baseball, I thought this was interesting as we get towards the All-Star break, about a little over a month out right now. Best ROIs in the league, Baltimore Orioles. You heard it right here. We told you several weeks ago that they're a far better team than the Yankees, and I don't care what anybody says out there. All I ever hear is people telling me how great the Yankees are. Well, they're not watching the games, in my opinion. Yankees have great pitching, no question about it. Their lineup still lacks any punch other than those two hitters. They got two hitters in the lineup, bunch of pretend guys, and against good teams, they're not that good. So, yeah, keep beating up on the Twins and the Blue Jays and these garbage teams they're going to play. But Yankees will have a tougher schedule coming up. Baltimore's beat them 3 out of 4 times. Baltimore is not anywhere near where it needs to be. Needs some more arms, needs some bullpen help, and it needs a more stabilized lineup. So that may be my criticism. But they're the top return on investment team in MLB at plus 1304. So if you bet $100 on them, you would be up $1,304 on the season. Cleveland next at plus 1175. They've been playing really well. Another team that we backed here, 1134, on the Washington Nationals. I told people here on the show, I don't know a whole lot, but every once in a while I get one right. And the Nationals, I told you would be better than the Mets, and I told you they'd be better than the Marlins. And hopefully you bet that win total over because they're going to go over for sure. The Washington Nationals are not a team that people are going to want to play down the stretch. They don't want to play them at all because they're scrappy. They're not that great, but they got some young talent that's just trying to figure things out. And as they continue to get experience and they add some more pieces and get some more guys called up from their system, they are going to be very good. And I expect them to be a playoff contender next season with the aforementioned upgrades to the roster. Yankees they're fourth at plus 1075. So again, I'm not slighting the Yankees that they're not a solid baseball team, but they're nowhere near what people are trying to say they are. Favorites in the AL East it's been a product of the schedule, and you can go back and look at it. But they're all right. I'm not saying they're not a playoff team, but I have no fear of them at all coming out of the American League. I don't think they're a serious contender unless they would trade at the deadline. They may go all in because it doesn't sound like they're going to re-sign Soto, which would be absolutely idiotic because he has been the arguable AL MVP to this point. And then Milwaukee at plus 865. So all teams, maybe Washington you didn't know, was playing well, but Baltimore, Cleveland, New York, and Milwaukee, all those teams being talked about amongst national media, MLB Network, MLB Radio, all those places talked about as being some teams who have played very well this year. So should have been aware of all that, but I bet you weren't aware of the Washington Nationals unless you listened to Bettor's Last Stand right here because we were on the Nats from day number 1. So lots more to go in MLB. We have Paul Skeens taking on the Dodgers tonight, which will be a couple nights ago when you listen to this. Pirates won a game 1-0. In the first game of that series with Jared Jones. So will the Pirates make a move? Will they do anything to try to improve that lineup? Their window is as wide as Paul Skeens can make it because that's about all they're going to have. He and a couple of those other arms, can they get him over the hump? They're not going to be able to do it without pitching. So Pirates have to be involved either at the trade deadline if they're close enough, but they can't be sellers, and they've got to cut some of this dead weight on their roster and do so very quickly. But I wouldn't expect any of that to happen because the old hillbilly Prince there, he's just not serious about winning. He's turning a profit, and he is not really interested in winning games. So until he proves us otherwise, we're going to be skeptical here. That's for sure. At least from my end. I know some of our other Pine Room guys got the blinders on when it comes to that team, but best of luck to them. A couple things going on, news and notes wise, and bad beats. If you watch the Indy 500, we'll talk about it with Sam. Pato Award we gave out here. he was going to win. He made his move. I kept waiting for him to make his move. He makes his move with about 2 laps left, but it was too early. Joseph Newgarden does the exact same slingshot move to him. The next lap, Newgarden wins it again. And a heartbreaker for Pato O'Ward and myself. We did cash that one as a top 3, so we were good with that. But dang, it was disappointing. And then the same day, Kyle Larson. Actually, the Indy 500 was impacted by rain too. So who knows if that was run during the daytime, what happens? Kyle Larson, he had a rain-shortened Coke 600 that he tried to get to after he had issues at the Indy 500. He raced pretty well in the car, I thought, overall, and will continue to get better. But, man, tough break that day for us. The Charlotte race gets stopped early. Chris Bell wins it. We had several guys in contention, I thought, that had a chance to win that we gave out. Never got a chance to see it as they left, it was almost 200 laps still on the board to be run that never got to. So, disappointing racing night there. For as great a racing weekend as it was, the Monaco Grand Prix was terrible. The Indy 500, great finish, but didn't go our way. And then a huge rain delay, which sucked. And then the Coke 600 shortened by rain. So, not fun at all. What was fun? New York. How about these numbers? $1.97 billion. New York brought in betting handle, sports betting handle, that is, for the month of April, followed by New Jersey at $1.04 billion with a B. That's absurd, as Alexander Zverev wins the second set 7-6 after being down 4-0 in the tiebreaker. Wow, that's a big one. Moving along. Anyway, back to the New York, New Jersey real quick. But the amount of money that they were taking in right now is incredible. So April, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing as people get more interested in these sports. So it's not going anywhere, fellas, or people, I should say, ladies and gentlemen, because I think we have some female listeners as well. And I think it's great to see women getting involved in this. You should be on some of the social media following people like Lauren the Bettor, Megan Making Money, Joe Madden, who was on our radio show before. Lauren the Bettor was on this show before. It's great to see ladies getting involved in sports betting. So if you have an important lady in your life and you want to have a little bit of fun, you can help them download a sports betting app. Show them a little bit about it. Have them start watching the show. Get some questions. I find women think so much better about different scenarios that people don't think about a lot. And I think they ask better questions, maybe because they're not afraid to ask questions. But I find that in person, that when we have a lady come to the sportsbook counter, they ask questions that I would never hear a guy ask. And it's like, wow, that is, I'm so happy that you asked that question. Like it opens up a great discussion, and my staff learns things, and then the person who's asking the question learns things. So that's what it's all about. Staying on earth as long as you can, learning as much as you can to help other people. Michigan takes action against offshore bookmaker Bovada. I'm sure most people are familiar with Bovada. It's a huge, huge, huge offshore book. Seen commercials for it. They've advertised in the United States for years. Obviously, their business impacted with the legalization across all of our states, or most of our states. But Michigan is saying, no, you're not coming into Michigan, and you're not going to be offering services offshore, illegal betting to our citizens. So they have now issued a cease and desist notice to the company, which is accessible in the state of Michigan. So we'll see how long that happens before anything gets stopped, or if people get their funds frozen or taken or whatever. But when you're messing around on those, you better be using Bitcoin or something that's untraceable, because it can be a little bit risky. But I will say the offshores they offer things that we aren't allowed to offer. So I understand the enticement. Sometimes, and as great as regulation is so far here in West Virginia, we've got to improve it. There's so many things that we're missing out on. But that's a story for another day. I think we could make the state a lot more money if they would listen to people, not just me, but some other people as well, to try to make that better. But Bovada in some trouble. I'm sure some other states are going to follow suit here and try to stop these offshores from coming in. But hey, the way I look at it is, you start offering this in your state and stop taking these measly limits and giving people the action that they want, then they won't have to bet illegally. So I'm not a proponent for it. Obviously, I work in the industry. You should never be betting illegally. But the temptation is going to be there when you're able to get, it's just like the drug thing. You want to have drugs on the street, illegal, it's going to be cheaper than legal, because you're going to not have to tax it and all that stuff. So people are going to do it. It's just simple supply and demand and simple economics, sadly. So get the offerings up, get the limits up, and you won't see people betting with Bovada quite as much. San Diego Padres infielder, sticking on sketchy betting stories. Boy, we got a lot of them here. San Diego Padres infielder Tucupita Marcano, who used to play for the Pirates last year, ironically, is the first Major League Baseball player since the PASPA repeal in 2018 to receive a lifetime ban for betting on baseball. Marcano placed 231 MLB-related bets and won just 4.3% of them. That sounds familiar. MLB was quick to close the case, but they weren't quick to close the Ohtani case. I guess they were. They're quick to hide the Ohtani case. So this just doesn't sit right with me. They didn't even let the ink dry on the indictment before they shut this guy down for life. Ohtani goes. He didn't even get questioned. I'm telling you, folks. I'm not going to sit here and defile a guy's character or slander him. But Shohei Ohtani's got a lot to explain, in my opinion, at the very least. And for no one to even ask the questions or push it, really is bothersome to me. And it just shows you how powerful people who control the media can put out any narrative they want. And you only have about 5 reporters on the entire planet, whether it's across sports or regular news, that even possibly try to report the facts. You know who they are if you want to go find them. There's not many of them. Nobody you're going to turn on the local news, or not necessarily the local news. They probably do a pretty good job. The national news, you're just not going to find on those networks. These people lie to you on a daily basis. And then they're lying to you here, because Shohei Ohtani just escapes nothing. Ippei now is getting charged. He might face 30 years in prison. Marcano's banned from baseball after a half a day after they find out what he did. And Ohtani just like, nothing to see here. He didn't do it. This guy stole from him. Case closed. Marcano should blame a translator too if he could. But it shows you. We said it here. I've heard other people on other shows say it. It all had to do with how good the guy was. If Marcano is an all-star and an icon for a team that he plays for, he's probably not getting this. But he's not. He's not Shohei Ohtani, and he will be the sacrificial lamb, so baseball can say, ha, look at us. We suspended a guy for life. But you didn't suspend the right guy, or at least you didn't get the full story out there, so people like me who ask a lot of questions and want to see facts will actually believe what you're saying. So I'm still skeptical there. And then you have this one, the Jonte Porter situation. We talked about that here, where he was faking injury so he could come out of games so his unders would cash in his player props. Well, a man was charged in the betting scheme with him. Porter allegedly owed large gambling debts to this consortium of illegal bookmakers and sketchy fellas, and his co-conspirators encouraged him to clear his debts by influencing bets on his own performance. Wow, this is bad. And then one of the conspirators, which is interesting, he was just arrested in JFK Airport on Monday. Now, this is one of the guys who had a $40,250 win in a game in which Porter faked an eye injury to come out of the game and stay under his 3.5 or 5.5 point total. So Bruce Pham was arrested at JFK on Monday, attempting to leave the country. Whoa, Bruce, what did you do? Well, I asked the guy to take a dive, basically. So this is a sad state of affairs, but remember, if this isn't regulated, you never find this out. You'd have no idea how many Tim Donaghy situations there were out there. You're going to find out all of them now. They're all coming. Don't you find it amazing? People continue to beat on the industry, and it really pisses me off because, again, you're not doing your homework. Don't you find it ironic that all these are being discovered now that we started to regulate it? Where were these discoveries years ago? Pete Rose had some baseball teams written down on a piece of notebook paper, or actually I think it was like printer, typewriter paper at that time, and he goes away for life from baseball. And they take these guys' words just like nothing. And if we did not have regulation, you would see so much more cheating. You wouldn't even know it. You could see it, you'd be skeptical of it, and it wouldn't be pretty. But that's neither here nor there for the moment, as Bruce Pham will now be behind bars. We'll see what happens to him. And just going on through a couple other things. College football Week 1 lines are out. I was looking through these. It's kind of nauseating to me. So you got the games kick off Saturday, August 24th. You got Florida State, Georgia Tech. Yikes, that's 13-point spread for the Seminoles there. SMU in Nevada. That'll be SMU minus 21.5. Oh, excuse me. Again, these games, August 24th. That's a Saturday. And then it starts into the big, that's like week 0, I guess they're going to call that one. Thursday, North Carolina, Minnesota. Coastal Carolina, Jacksonville State, and then you got some games Friday, Temple and Oklahoma, Florida Atlantic and Michigan State. Florida Atlantic catching 11 for Michigan State. Western Michigan and Wisconsin. Wisconsin laying 23.5. Oklahoma was a 39.5 point favorite against Temple. TCU and Stanford. TCU minus 10.5. Stanford, the home team in that one. And then you got a whole big slew of games. Georgia and Clemson. Georgia minus 13.5 there. Pitt minus 23.5 against Kent State. Maryland and UConn. West Virginia catching 10 against Penn State. And some various other games to look up. Miami and Florida. That's Miami Hurricanes and the Florida Gators. I'll be interested in that game a little bit. But starting to hang these numbers up. Starting to take win total bets already. So it's getting to that point of the season. And the last thing before we take a break here. Caesars customer hits a huge, huge parlay. $50 3-team parlay. Mavericks to win the Western Conference. Capped it off last week. Paid out $98,750. He had the Chiefs over the 49ers in the Super Bowl, the exacta, and he had Michigan over Washington in college football playoff exacta, paired with the Mavs to win the Western Conference. So got to tip my cap to that better. It's an incredible bet, 50 to win 90, almost $99,000. So incredible stuff there. We're going to take a break here. Bettor's Last Stand, show number 88 from the Pine Room Studios as we return after a couple weeks off. We're going to come back, wrap up the soccer, talk a little tennis, talk a little Aussie rules, and then we got a big horse race this week, a big horse racing card that is Belmont Stakes taking place up at Saratoga as track reconstruction and renovations, I guess is the word I'm looking for, continue at Belmont Park. We'll talk all that stuff coming up after the break. It is Bettor's Last Stand, show number 88 from the Pine Room. We'll be right back.
Reminder, this show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activities should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. All right, men, load the cannons and hold the line. You're listening to Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in BLS. That's Bettor's Last Stand, show number 88, coming to you Pine Room Studios, downtown Wheeling. Follow us, BLS_PRP, for all the updated information, picks, and everything else that we have going on with the Pine Room as far as the sports betting aspect of it. At the Pine Room Studios for all the other stuff. PineRoomStudios.com, the website. With our boy Timo, we got some wonderful interns that have been helping us out, starting to revamp a lot of the things going on here in the Pine Room Studios. So exciting things to come for us. All right, so we got the Belmont Stakes this week. Not the excitement level that most people will have because there's no Triple Crown involved, but to me, every single year, the Belmont Stakes card is the best card outside of the Breeders' Cup in North America. It will have numerous G1 and G2 stakes races, in some G3s as well, but very, very, very top class card coming up here on Saturday. Just loaded with good horses. It's going to be held at Saratoga, which is going to be very, very different. It is not anywhere near a similar track to Belmont, as Belmont continues the renovations that have gone on there over the last few years. They had the Islanders Arena that opened up right adjacent to it, and then they redoing the track itself. So Belmont Park is going to be absolutely beautiful. I got to get up there and check it out. I'm sure it's just amazing. I'd love to get up there, catch an Islander game, catch a day of racing. That's the hope. We can do that at some point, but the task at hand here is trying to pick winners at Saratoga. And if you know anything about Saratoga, it is a beautiful, beautiful country, upstate New York, up in the Adirondack Mountains, the foothills of the Adirondacks. Very secluded and beautiful place. It's where horse people go. This is the East Coast version of what Del Mar would be out west, is the summer haven for horse bettors. This is where they love to go. This is where they wake up with their heart racing as soon as they open their eyes. Here we go. It's race day. And I'm one of those people. I love Saratoga as far as the pageantry, the race cards, just everything that goes with it. It's just for true race fans. The hard thing is trying to pick winners up there. The track is, I would say it's pretty fair because it doesn't seem to be very biased. Sometimes it'll favor speed, but most of the time pretty fair. Doesn't have anything similar at all as far as dimensions to Belmont. Big Sandy, they have the big sweeping turns. You have just so much more room to navigate. These are tighter turns. And, it's tricky. These horses haven't ran at Belmont Park in a long time. Some of them never have. So you're either running them at Aqueduct or up at Saratoga in the summer meet, which is the prestigious meet on the East Coast every single year. That hasn't started yet. But we're here for the Belmont portion of the card. We're going to concentrate on the Belmont Stakes. I will have whatever I decide to do at BLS_PRP, my finalized picks. Looks like rain in the forecast, recapping the... what is it? Oh, the Preakness, yeah. Recapping the Preakness, he sees the gray, gets the lead in the slop. We knew that mud would be a factor there. Did not see Sees the Gray being able to go like he did, but he got out there, speed held all day on that dirt course at Pimlico, and he did a nice job. He got away, and now he's won 2 in a row, the Pat Day Mile and the Preakness. But can he go a mile and a half here? That is the question. I would lean towards the no, but that's okay. I think he'll be a speed contender here. I'm not sure how fast this race will turn up. A lot of people are saying that they think it'll be fast. Now, rain is in the forecast, so that changes a lot of the things, but let's just go through the field here, and I'll give you a few thoughts on these horses. Sees the Gray, D. Wayne Lucas, Jose Torres. He won the Preakness last out, Pat Day Mile. He's got to win at Saratoga. And that's always a nice thing. You see a horse that wins, but it was a maiden race, so I wouldn't be too excited there. He did beat Dornick, who is in this race. So I think he moves up a little bit on a wet track. He's going to be a pace factor, but a mile and a half. Actually, they're not going to run a mile and a half. I take that back. It's a mile and a quarter race now, shortened, because you can't really run a mile and a half safely at Saratoga. So you got a mile and a quarter. So that makes things a little bit different. It makes him more of a player. So scratch everything you know about the Belmont Stakes. Just pretend this is not that race, because it doesn't have any of the same variations or any of the same patterns or whatever you want to call it that resemble the Belmont Stakes. It's just they're not there. It's a totally different experience. So number 2, Resilience, and I wouldn't pass on Sees the Gray. Maybe put him in my supers. Don't think he can win. Resilience. Bill Mott, Junior Alvarado, comes in off a pretty strong run in the Kentucky Derby. This was a horse that we had in our superfectas. The only thing that worries me now is he got a little bit of a wet track that may downgrade him a touch. He seemed to tire on a wet track at the Risen Star. Not awful, though, but I like him here. I think he's going to be a contender if the track isn't too wet. I thought he had a tough trip in the Kentucky Derby, and I thought he outran his odds, and he kind of did. So I will give Resilience a definite look in our top 4. Mystic Dan ran a valiant second at Pimlico 3 weeks ago. Sees the Gray, gets the job done. Mystic Dan, obviously a contender if it rains. I think Kenny McPeak will have him ready, and I would say he is a horse that you got to keep in your mind as a potential use. The Wine Steward. This is Mike Maker and Manny Franco. 1 for 1 at Saratoga. Finished second in the Peter Pan. He was second in the Lexington over at Keeneland. Prior to that, he hadn't raced in a year. He last raced at the Breeders' Cup. So, tell you what, this horse he's ran really sharp off the layoff at the Lexington Stakes, which is pretty interesting. Usually horses don't come back live to a field like that quickly without having any type of prep race. I mean, he went November, December, January, February, March. Like, he went a long time without racing. So that's a pretty good sign to me. And he was second to Antiquarian, who's going to be one of the favorites here. Maybe not quite a favorite, but he's the Todd Pletcher's favorite. Mike Maker does a great job. This is intriguing to me. His dad won the Breeders' Cup Classic. His dad, of course, Vino Rosso, son of Curlin. So this horse is a little intriguing. I actually would really like this horse, I think, if it was on the actual mile and a half Belmont course. But he's trending in the right direction, and he's running his best races. So I really didn't have Wine Stewart as a use. He's never ran on a wet track, so I don't really like taking a chance. But I think he'll have tactical speed. And now that I'm just reading over his PPs, glancing as I'm talking to you, he seems like he will be a little bit more of a contender than we previously thought. Antiquarian, he was the winner of the Peter Pan over at Aqueduct. Todd Pletcher, Johnny Velasquez, 1 for 1 on the wet track, but he has only started 4 times in his life, so he's a little bit lightly raced. And he did get that win over the sloppy track at the fairgrounds. No runs at Saratoga yet. I didn't think his run at the Louisiana Derby, where he finished 6th, was that bad, but seeing some of the horses that came out of that, I really wanted to pick this horse, but I just can't. And he took the same path that Tonalist, who was a very, very, a horse that has a special spot in my heart, as he took down California Chrome to, rob him of the Triple Crown. And I had a really, really big pick 5 ticket on Tonalist that day, and made me very, very happy as Tonalist gets the job done. He took the same thing, skipped the Derby, skipped the Preakness, does the Peter Pan, and then goes on to win the Belmont, although it's not the Belmont this year. It's more like the Saratoga. But Pletcher's won this 4 times, so it can't be discounted. But Antiquarian, I think he's very talented, but I just don't know if this is the right setup for him. Danny Gargan and Luis Saez bring in the number 6, Dornick. Dornick ran in the Kentucky Derby. He was 10th, beaten 18. I did not like him in this in the Kentucky Derby at all. We passed on him. He was way down the chart there. I don't know. He moves up a tad if it's wet. But he just didn't have a good trip at the Kentucky Derby, so maybe that he was compromised there. Luis Saez will get him out of the gate well, and he'll be up on the pace. So a speed factor, maybe somebody that can push Seize the Gray a little bit. So if you like the front running horses, maybe you want to include Dornick. I won't be taking him. Protective. This one's interesting to me. It's Todd Pletcher in the number 7 with jockey Tyler Gaffley own. He's finished second at Saratoga in 1 start. He has never run on a wet track. He's only ran 3 times, so he's very lightly raced. But he ran 3rd in the Wood Memorial to Resilience, who I like. That was only his 2nd race of his career after a 3rd place finish back at Tampa. So what this tells me is that Todd Pletcher really has high hopes for this horse. He ran him into Peter Pan a few weeks ago. He finished 3rd. Irad Ortiz rode him, which is interesting as well. And he comes right back here with only a couple weeks off, and this is a young, lightly raced horse. This tells me that Protective, he could maybe be live here. He just might be. So keep an eye on Protective. He's going to be a horse that I'm interested in using, and we'll have him on the card for sure, as his speed figure's gotten better each race. And again, lightly raced, and I think that he could be sneaky in here. So that is the number 7 Protective. Honor Marie comes in for Whitworth Beckham. Florent Giroux comes over to ride, replaces Ben Curtis, who rode him in the Louisiana and the Kentucky Derbies. 0 for 2 on the wet surface. He does have a 2nd. He's never ran at Saratoga. I was not big on this horse. A lot of people loved him as the wise guy horse. His closing speed figures are very good, so he's a dead closer. I don't see this being as fast a race as everybody believes it will be, but I could be way wrong on that. But people are still talking him up here as if he is a serious contender. I'm going to politely pass on Honor Marie. Sierra Leone, who we had in the Kentucky Derby, ran a valiant race, although I will say Tyler Gaffleone in the situation down the stretch there where he fell off stride and had to catch himself on the other horse kind of compromised us there, as Forever Young might have won that race and really, really put some big balloons up for me and some other people. But nevertheless, Sierra Leone here runs back off of a few-week break. Chad Brown, the trainer, Flavian Pratt, the rider. And, wet surfaces haven't been a problem for him. He's got a 1st and a 2nd out of 2 starts there. I think he'll be in contention. If the pace heats up enough, he's going to come charging late. So I think you would be wise to use him if you're using the tries and supers, because he's going to come running late. Whether he can get to the wire in time, where he finishes 2nd or 3rd or 4th, we'll see. But good horse, got to use in the top 4 for sure. And then we come to Mindframe, another very intriguing horse, and I'm really not sure what the path is here. So we talked about Protective only having 3 starts. Protective had 4 starts. I was wrong about that. He got disqualified at his very first race. I did not see that the first time. Mindframe, also intriguing. He's only ran 3 times. Actually, I'm wrong. I said it wrong again. He's ran 2 times. He's 2 for 2. He's got 2 wins. Irad Ortiz on board for both of those. So Irad leaves Protective to come over and ride Mindframe. That's a tell as well. He's run once on a wet track and 1 he's not run at Saratoga. So this is just, I don't know. This is a very, very odd situation here, but I think Mindframe is going to be live. So we're going to use Mindframe. I think you ought to be able to sit stock right outside of the leaders, and I think you'll have a shot. So Todd Pletcher's got a strong hand in here. But the Mike Maker horse right now is catching my eye. The Wine Steward is a potential use. I got to see what the track conditions are going to be like before I give up my official plays But that is the field for the, let's see, what I guess you can't even call this the 100 and whatever Belmont Stakes because it really isn't. But BLS_PRP, you can find all those posted picks for Saturday's race. I will have them on there for sure. So enjoy the race. Good luck to everybody. Let's jump over quickly to soccer as we have the UEFA Champions League is in the books. As we talked about, Real Madrid getting the job done for us. We're very happy about that one. 8-1 if you had them outright. If you had the Spanish squad to win, which we gave out way back in late January or February, that was around 4-1. You could have got that one. Plus 375, 4-1-ish. Great ones there. The UEFA Euro 2024 begins next week. It'll be next Friday, June 14th, so a week from today if you're listening Friday. Exciting tournament, the best teams in Europe internationally, so these are the best countries in Europe, really. So a great tournament nonetheless. You got 24 teams coming in here. 4 teams make up 6 groups. Top 2 teams advance to the knockout stage along with the 4 other best see, you can't even say that right. The 4 best third place teams. Jeez, boy, that was a mess. Anyway, and the 4 best teams that finish third in those groups will advance to the knockout stage as well, and then they will be repaired in the bracket according to points finish. You obviously get 3 for a win, 1 for a draw, 0 for a loss. So similar to Champions League or any other group play type tournament, World Cup, so forth. Germany is the host nation here, but they are not the favorites. Germany plus 550 coming in roughly in that, so 5-6 to 1-ish. England 3-1. England, who hasn't won a big tournament well before I was alive, and I do not expect them to win here again. They have some good players. They had some good players last time, and they had a game at home and they couldn't win it. So I don't find England to be worth a 3-1 price here at all. France at 4-1, Germany at plus 550. Then you got Portugal and Spain at 8, Italy at 14, Belgium and the Netherlands at 16. Then a big drop down to Croatia at 40. So let's just talk about the groups. Group A, Germany, Switzerland, Hungary, Scotland. Germany, obvious favorite here, minus $3 to win it. They are the home team, and they are, they're in a run of crossover here. They have some really old players. Thomas Müller, Toni Kroos, Manuel Neuer. These guys, this is probably their last hurrah. If they can hang on for the World Cup, maybe. But Germany showed a little bit of a sign of bounce back in the World Cup. They weren't great, but they're a little bit better. So I think they'd probably be able to win the group. But look out for Switzerland, who's been pretty solid in recent years in tournaments. And then Hungary, kind of a newer punching team that's kind of up and coming. Maybe a little bit of excitement there. Hungary at 8-1, Switzerland at plus 550. Both of those teams possibly worth looking at to advance out of Group A. Group B, Spain minus 125 in there, along with Italy at 2-1, Croatia plus 450, and Albania at 25-1. Rodri's in top form for Spain. He's for Manchester City. He's really good. He could win this tournament himself for them. Spain took a little bit of a step back in the World Cup, in my opinion, the last time. But they're still dangerous. They've kind of revamped from all the old guard that they had. Transition. They got a lot younger. So I think they'll be pretty solid here. Italy's the team that really intrigues me. I don't know if, and not for the right reasons. We had them to win the last Euro, so that was a bet that I don't even know if the show existed. It might have just been started, but we gave Italy out. Great price. Gave that out to pretty much everybody I knew that they would have a chance to win it. They beat England. They are 2-1 to win the group here. But Italy missed the World Cup last time, and they completely fell off a cliff when a lot of their old guys, Bonucci and Chiellini, they all retired from national duty, and it just the nucleus of the team just fell apart. They got some great young players still, but can they put it together in a team aspect? Croatia is the team that intrigues me. Luka Modric still playing all right, and then Guardiola, the young defender for Manchester City. This kid was a star in the last World Cup. I knew he was going to be awesome. City signs him, and he just had a great season. He is really, really good. He's going to be the best defender in the world here before too long. So Croatia plus 450, I think, is kind of interesting. They may be able to make a little bit of noise there, and they're very experienced. They've done the job. They've gotten through these types of tournaments into the knockout stage several times. So a very experienced team. So I lean Croatia to be at least that third advancing team. I think Spain, Italy, and Croatia all advance out of that group. England, Group C, minus 250. Denmark, The only thing interesting for them is Christian Eriksen returns after he died on the field at this event a few years ago. So good to see him back. England probably wins that group easily. Denmark maybe a little bit of a contender. Serbia and Slovenia probably don't have enough. Group D, France about -190, lost to Argentina in one of the most amazing World Cup finals you can ever imagine. Just thrilling stuff as Messi gets the job done. They're in a tough group here, though. The Netherlands +275, which would have been my pick to win this thing if they didn't get matched with France, because I'm worried that they'll probably maybe draw that game and then maybe not be able to get to win that group. But they're good enough to do it. I think the Dutch are finally getting back to what they were back in the late 90s, early 2000s, which was a world football power that could never get over the hump. The Dutch are knocking on the door here and could be very dangerous here. They're going to be one of my top selections of this tournament. But if you just gave me one group to pick the winner of this tournament out of, it'd be Group D. I think France and Netherlands are going to have a really strong chance. Austria, not bad. A couple guys out for them, though. I think that'll hurt them. They're 8-1, Poland 10-1. Don't give them much of a shot. Group E, Belgium -250, Ukraine +$4, Romania +650, Slovakia 11-1. Belgium, their golden age is pretty much past. Kevin De Bruyne is awesome. Lukaku's winding down right now. They don't have it. They don't have the depth in the team. They had their chance. They missed it. I don't love Belgium at -250 there. I kind of like Ukraine. They're kind of the interesting team to me. They have some guys who are, their careers are starting to advance heavily. You have one of the top scorers in La Liga is a Ukrainian. I mean, you got a couple guys in the EPL that are Ukrainians. So I think Ukraine is dangerous at 4-1. I think they at least advance, and I think Romania is getting better. Back to the days of Igor Dumitrescu and Georgi Hagi when they were pretty good in the late 90s. Romania hasn't been this good in a while, so we'll give them a shot also to come out of that group. Group F, Portugal, Turkey, Czech Republic, and Georgia. Portugal, the obvious favorite. Ronaldo will play. Not sure how much. He kind of fell out of favor the last World Cup with the team, got benched, but they got Diego Jota. They have Bruno Fernandes. They got a good team, Portugal does. So we'll see how they do. Turkey has been getting better. They've been a team that's been a pain in the butt to a lot of these European sides in these various tournaments. They're 4-1, not a bad look. And then Czech Republic, always dangerous, very business-like Czech Republic. They're not going to be flashy. They're going to be physical, and they're going to try to win games 1-2, 2-1, 2-0, 1-0. They're not without a chance there. Georgia makes their first ever appearance. They'll be proud to be there. Might want to go against them the first time, or maybe go. What I like to do in those teams that have never made it to this type of tournament before is go and bet them to score a goal, especially if they're way overmatched. Score a goal at least. That's a big thing for them. At least they achieve that. So Georgia to score a goal in the first match could be good. But I'm keeping it simple here. France at 4-1, Netherlands at 16-1, and then my long shot team to maybe make the quarterfinals would be Ukraine. They're 100-1. No, I doubt they could win it, but they could maybe make the quarters or semifinals. So those are the teams to look at. France, England exacta 11-1. France, Germany exacta pays 12-1. France, Netherlands exacta 25-1, and then England, Netherlands exacta 22-1. Those all possible scenarios in my mind. Still wouldn't count Croatia out either. They're very, very, very seasoned. They've made some good runs here in recent years. So we'll keep an eye on all that. Post these picks at BLS_PRP. Enjoy the Euros. It should be a really fun tournament. And then lastly, before we get into race talk, it is the AFL. Here we go. It's AFL, and we are already into round number 13. We'll get right to it. Brisbane and Western take on each other on Friday morning. Don't love anything here. Western off a good win. Brisbane is just right now floundering. I'll probably lean to the over 171.5 in that one. And then we got GWS. This is a Friday evening game. They will take on Hawthorn. GWS comes in fresh off a bye, laying 6.5 here. I'll be all over the Giants. North Melbourne and West Coast, the two worst teams in the league on Saturday night at 2:35 a.m. our time here. Or Friday night, I guess you want to look at it. I'll be going under 156.5. I think both these teams will sell out defensively to try to stop the other one. Probably have to play West Coast in the game. I hate to say that. I really like to see North Melbourne contend in this game, and it's going to be difficult. Saturday games, 5:30 a.m. Early to be Gold Coast in St. Kilda. We'll go under 163.5 there. Gold Coast 7-5, St. Kilda 4-8. And then the game of the week, Geelong 8-4. Finally got a win after losing 4 in a row after they had previously been undefeated. Then you got Sydney, the best team in the league. Are they really the best team? We'll see. Geelong's a team that I thought had a really good chance to bounce back and win it this year in the grand final. Giant showdown. Geelong 8-4, Sydney 10-1. I'm going to go with Geelong plus the points, the 20.5 here. I think it's way, way, way too many. Probably lean to the over here. Sydney's a scoring team, and Geelong's defense has been their problem most of the season. So we'll go with the Cats, and we go with over in that one on Saturday night. Sunday morning, 5:20 a.m., Essendon and Carlton do battle there. I will be taking, let's see, who am I taking? Oh, Essendon. Minus the 11.5 in the game. Or no, I think they're plus, I'm sorry, they're plus 11.5. If I wrote that down correctly. Essendon 8-3-1. They got upset by Gold Coast last time. The home teams won the last 4 here, and Essendon isn't home. So we'll go with the Bombers. And then finally, Melbourne and Collingwood. I don't know what the hell happened to Melbourne last week. They lost by like 100. I don't know what that was. A lot of injuries, but still, that's a pathetic effort. Collingwood also lost last week after a really nice stretch run. They're 6-4-2. Collingwood's probably the better team here. Laying the half. I'll lean to the Magpies, even though it's it isn't home for them. So we'll go with that, and then we're going to go over the 167.5. That's my main play in that game. All right, we're going to take a break here. Bettor's Last Stand, show number 88 for the Pine Room Studios in downtown Wheeling. We'll be back after the break with a race talk with our man, Sam the Man. Don't go anywhere.
Reminder, this show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activities should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. All right, men, load the cannons and hold the line. You're listening to Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in. It is Bettor's Last Stand, show number 88, Pine Room Studios in luxurious downtown Wheeling. It's pretty hot out there. It's no sea breeze where I'm at here, so got to deal with that for a few more days before we head back to the Eastern Shore, the area of the world that that makes me happy most of the time. So hopefully y'all enjoy your vacation wherever you may be going this summer. I suggest the Eastern Shore. Delmarva is a beautiful place this time of year. Sorry to inform everybody, but our man Sam is not going to be able to make it. He just messaged me and said he is stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic on his way home just outside of Pittsburgh and hasn't moved for like a half an hour. So he's probably not going to make it. He is going to give me his picks for the weekend once he gets home and settled, and I'll post those on BLS_PRP on Twitter or X. So best of luck to Sammy. Hope he's able to make it home in a decent hour to watch his Buccos. I really wanted to get his perspective on that. But anyway, he will be with us the next time we do a show. What is how does the saying go? God willing. There you go. All right, let's get down to business here. Enough with the small talk. We'll take you through the race card here. We'll start off with the Indy cars. Obviously, I talked about Joseph Newgarden winning the Indy 500, beating out Pato O'Ward. Man, it just that one hurt me. I thought, man, I was like, Pato timed it up perfectly, but he moved just too fast. That's just too big of a speedway. Gets beat at the end there. So Newgarden the winner again. I think it's the second year in a row for him. Scott Dixon then comes up and wins the Detroit Street race last week, which I saw very little of. As I said, I had family and friends in town. I did not see much of that race whatsoever and did not have any action on it, if you can believe that. We go now to Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. This has been around for a long time. Various circuits have raced on it. It's an interesting course. I mean, I like it. I think it's a pretty good one. Right now, Joseph Newgarden probably would be the favorite here, as the odds for this are not posted yet. He won this 2 years ago and was second to Alex Palou last year. So definitely contender, but I'm going to go with Pato O'Ward again. I think he's going to be ticked off. He ran really well. Didn't get the job done in Indy. He's going to be mad, and he didn't get the job done in Detroit either. So I think, with Scott Dixon being able to pull that one out, I think he got over his little hangover, Pato O'Ward. Now he's ready to get down to business. And I think he is a contender here. And also I think Colton Herta could be heard from here. He led 33 laps here last year and probably should have a pretty good car. So we're going to go with Pato O'Ward and Colton Herta, top fives, and to win the race there. Again, I'll post Sam's picks when he gets them there, as the Indy guys are on to Elkhart Lake. We're going to stick with the open wheel boys and head to the circuit of Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Quebec. Quebec, really, not Quebec. French Canada we go to here for the Canadian Grand Prix. The winner last year, of course, Max Verstappen. He led all 70 laps. Really didn't even have any type of contender even within, won by just about 10 seconds. So actually that's pretty close compared to what some of his wins have been in recent years. Max was not able to get the job done at Monaco. Once again, the qualifying pole sitter has a great advantage there, although he hadn't won the last two. But Charles Leclerc, from the very beginning, as soon as he was able to hold off the McLaren contingent on the first lap, that was pretty much the end, although there was a catastrophe on the first lap. He lost several cars in the race. If you watched it, Leclerc led all 78 laps, cruises on to the victory at Monte Carlo. Sam cashed in with Leclerc and Carlos Sainz there. We'll be going back to the well here with Verstappen. I just don't see any way he doesn't win this race. Minus 240 is a pretty good price on him right now if you want to take a early shot. And then you got Sergio Perez. Not been running very well, but maybe take a shot with him to get into top 3. But I'm interested in the McLarens here. I've been impressed with Oscar Piastri. He didn't know how good he was going to be for McLaren last year, but he's really, really improving. And I like him. I think a McLaren double top 6 is a definite, probably almost an automatic bet. It'll probably be a pretty hefty price there. But even a McLaren double podium here or Piastri to finish in the top 3, I'm intrigued to see what he will do. But Verstappen is the man up in Quebec at the Villeneuve race course for the Canadian Grand Prix on Sunday. So we're not going to get too crazy with anything there. Just keep it simple and think that Max will bounce back. Moving on, it'll be the Toyota Save Mart 350. This one at Sonoma Raceway, Sonoma, California. You got a lot of guys at low prices here, which concerns me. Martin Truex, last year's winner, 5.5 to 1, 6 to 1. Kyle Larson taking some heat, there's some steam already. You got Chris Bell, William Byron, both sub 8 to 1s right now. Recapping what went on, as we said, Chris Bell wins the rain shortened Coke 600, which is pretty disappointing. And then last week, Austin Cindric, who I actually did bet, and I wish I would have gave him out. I didn't put it on Twitter because the last second I was like, oh, the race is going to start. I'm going to bet. So I just went with a guy that I knew was a good road racer. And ironically, Ryan Blaney ran out of gas. I had him too. So at least I didn't lose all out on that. Cindric leads 53 laps, wins the race. He was really good. And he is really good on road courses. So strong finish for Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, a couple guys that are starting to trend in the right direction. Logano wins the All-Star race a few weeks ago at North Wilkesboro. So maybe some momentum for him. I am intrigued by Logano at 38 to 1 this week. I will be using him. He will be one of my top plays, if not my top play, followed by Ross Chastain at 25 to 1 and Chris Buescher, 14, 15 to 1 for Buescher. And Buescher's ran great here at Sonoma the last 2 runs. So that gives me a little bit of excitement. And then if you have any chance or you just want to throw a Egg McMuffin money on Brad Keselowski, so I don't know how this is possible that he's 104 to 1 to win this race. Now, he's not been the greatest road racer, but he's got a good team here. Buescher's going to have a great car. Brad ran well last week. I wouldn't completely say it's impossible. So maybe Keselowski at a bombing price. Can't discount Austin Cindric to repeat, but that's tough at 22 to 1. And like I said, Byron and Bell, both contenders. Price just not good enough. Larson's not ran well here. I don't like him here, so I won't be using him. Truex, who won it last year, had him last year in this race. And then Chase Elliott. Maybe Chase Elliott at 9-10 to 1 is worth it because he's a great road racer getting ignored here on the board a little bit. So maybe a little under the radar. And then a couple other long shots worth a look. Ryan Blaney, good road racer. Bad luck last week, 25 to 1 for him. And Daniel Suarez, who's won here before, at 22 to 1. The last 2 winners, as I said, it was Suarez and Buescher running 1-2 the last time that they were, 2 years ago here at Sonoma. And then last year, it was Martin Truex and Kyle Busch, followed by Joey Logano and Chris Buescher. And then Chase Elliott. That was your top 5. So some strong contenders here. Road racing at an all-time good place right now in NASCAR. They're making these tracks very exciting. The cars have helped. The passing is good, and the action is great. So we'll keep it there. It should be a wonderful race. We're excited about that, and I'm excited about the whole weekend of racing. I'm sorry Sam couldn't join us today. We'll get his plays when the opportunity presents itself. We'll get him on social media, BLS_PRP. Should be good stuff. One thing that I didn't talk a lot about, and I know a lot of people are really, really starting to get into it, is starting to get a lot more attention. College baseball, and it's just not something that I follow a great deal of. I just find it really, really tough to watch. But the Mountaineers have made it to the Super Regionals. They'll take on North Carolina. Right now, Mountaineers 65-1 to win the national championship. Don't really think that's the case. I don't think you'll be able to do that. Texas A&M, one of the betting favorites, along with Tennessee, both around 3-1 there. North Carolina, who West Virginia will take on, around 6.5-1. UVA at 8-1. Kentucky at 8-1. Florida State 5-1. Clemson 11-1. Georgia 12-1. Those are probably your big contenders. Florida's a team that's been playing really hot. They were the last team to make it into the tournament. They took out the only team that I had made a bet on, of course, Oklahoma State, who had been playing red hot. They beat them twice in Stillwater in advance, Florida, that is. So they'll take on who does Florida play this week? Florida takes on Clemson, this week, plus 135 there. If you want Mountaineers series price, they're plus 210 against North Carolina. I wouldn't say they don't have a chance here. North Carolina, to me, just good but not great. Texas A&M going to be really tough to beat. They should smash Oregon. And then you got Tennessee, should take care of Evansville, who made it for the first time ever. Kentucky over Oregon State probably. And then UConn playing hot as well as they take out Oklahoma and Norman. So some upsets there. Big 12 proven to not be that great of a conference. So that might not bode well for West Virginia, but maybe the way that they matched up. And West Virginia really had some injuries during the season, so maybe they're playing their best baseball at that time. So if you want to get in on college baseball, check out the numbers. I wish I could give you more tips here, but there's nobody that I really like here. There's just too much randomness to this stuff. You just don't know who's pitching. And but this is growing. This sport is growing, and it's growing because of betting. So people can hate betting all they want, but there's a reason why NIL money is going up and all these things are going up, and they're making TV money off college baseball that they never made before, and that is all due to legalized gambling. So don't forget that. We talk about it here every week. Bettor's Last Stand. We will not be in action the next 2 weeks, though. I will return after my second part of my vacation, and we'll be ready to go into football season. Hard to believe it's right around the corner here. So until then, safe travels, safe partying, safe everything in your life. Don't forget to call those IC cabs if you need any assistance being transported out to your various gatherings over the summer months here. And that'll do it for us. Be sure and tune in to the Watchdog 3 times a week. Listen to the guys hold it down while I'm away. I may be calling in from time to time, checking in with them, talking about this, that, and whatever. So lots going on at the Pine Room Studios. For all the information, thepineroomstudios.com for the website and all the information. Check out all the shows, including our new one with Sammy and Gia. And we'll be back here in a couple of weeks. Hopefully Sam will be out of traffic by then, and we can continue on Bettor's Last Stand through the late summer push. CFL football kicking off this week too, and you got UFL winding down. So lots happening here. It's an exciting time of year, I guess, but not too exciting. But that's the way we like it. Enjoy your vacations, enjoy your time with your families, and we will see you here in a couple of weeks. And best of luck on your bets here. So that'll do it for us at Bettor's Last Stand, show number 88. Have a great week and have a great couple of weeks. BLS_PRP for all the updates. We'll see you in a few weeks.